Go to perhaps the best weather forecaster in the world. Our pal Joe Bastardi in State College, Pennsylvania, is going to put Hurricane Gustav into some perspective for us. So, Joe, take it away, man.
First of all, my mother did not write that intro, but I appreciate it anyway. Let's take a look at Gustav right now. It is racing inland up Interstate 45 in Louisiana, which runs roughly from Lafayette all the way up to Shreveport, and you can see the storm is expanding. It's not as concentrated and focused as it was. Now, Gustav went inland about 7,500 miles to the southwest of New Orleans. It was not as bad in New Orleans, of course, as Katrina was, or as Betsy was back in 1965, which was a monster storm, and was a storm that went right up the Mississippi River with winds of 115 to 125 miles an hour. This hit further south and west, but I was speaking to people in Baton Rouge and Lafayette today, and they said this was worse than all the hurricanes they've had there in the last 15 or 20 years. And Louisiana, if you look at their history, is the who's who of big hurricanes on the Gulf Coast in many cases. Now let's take a look at what's going on further out at sea, because we've got a lot of action going on. This is Ike here, and you see Gustav here, but here is our next big worry. This is Hanna, and Hanna is going to be one monster of a storm. I'll tell you what, Bill, this reminds me of what we see in the Pacific, the Southwest Pacific, with typhoon development. We actually have a situation that should be suppressing the development of Hanna, where you see this jet or this cirrus cloud coming over the top here into the storm and trying to stop the storm, and yet it's blowing up in the face of that. What I expect to happen here over the next 2 or 3 days is that hostile atmosphere gives way to a much more conducive situation for development, and this is going in to the southeastern United States, perhaps with the strength of Floyd, in a worst case Hugo in 1989. Now, I'm mentioning these storms so our viewers down there understand the potential that we have here. This is a potentially very serious situation. When you take a look at the cloud photograph Thursday and Friday, this is going to be an enormous storm, a great Atlantic hurricane like we used to see in the 40s and 50s during the last time of climatic hardship where the Atlantic warmed up quite a bit. So a very, very nasty situation here.
Joe. Okay, so let's just walk through it really precisely. This is Hurricane Hanna. Right now, Hurricane Hanna is where?
Hurricane Hanna is in the southeast Bahamas. Here's the United States coastline, and this is going to sit here for the next couple of days and then move right up the Bahamas, a classic track, into the Carolinas or Georgia as a major hurricane hit, I think, Friday.
Friday, you expect it to hit the Carolinas Friday?
Friday, I expect it to sideswipe Florida Thursday night into Friday morning and hit up the coast between St. Simon Island and Wilmington during the day Friday as a Category 3 hurricane or perhaps greater.
Okay. Then you can't track it any further than that. You don't know whether it's going to go inland or does go back to the ocean, right?
Well, yes, I can. I think it's going to go right up over D.C. Saturday night and up to Boston on Sunday as a weakening hurricane or tropical storm. You'll get a lot of wind and rain in the mid-Atlantic states, but the real problem is going to be the fact that it's going to hit the Carolinas. This is going to test FEMA quite a bit because they're going to have to move their battle action, so to speak, over to the Carolinas, and by this time next week, Ike will be in the Bahamas, and we'll have to try to figure out where he's going to go.
All right, so you're very sure then that it's going to take an Atlantic track, this Hanna. I got 10 seconds.
Yes, I think Hanna is coming up on the east side of Florida into the southeast states as potentially a major hurricane for the southeast on Friday.